Our next guest, you will know his name from the many movies that he has produced over a period of decades, including Ghostbusters. You know him from Saturday Night Live, but more appropriately, you know him from the latest program that he's doing on the History Channel, The Unbelievable with Dan Aykroyd. Dan, welcome to the A.R.E.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody.
So, Dan, just a very quick story. 25 years ago, I'm at the National Association of Broadcasters convention. It's the first time I've seen celebrities up close and personal. I never knew Whoopi Goldberg was that short. And I turn the corner, and there's Dan Aykroyd in front of a big poster that says Strange Universe. So he was obviously promoting or looking to syndicate a program. And I approached Mr. Aykroyd and I said, "Have you ever heard of Edgar Cayce?" And Dan laughed at me. He said, "Heard of Edgar Cayce? I come from a family of mediums." You do, Dan, don't you?
Well, they certainly studied mediums. My great-grandfather was an Edwardian spiritualist. His name was Sam Aykroyd. He was a dentist in Kingston, Ontario, and a member of the Lilydale spiritualist community. The writings of Edgar Cayce were always lying around the old farmhouse when I was growing up as a kid. My great-grandfather was kind of the researcher in town here in Kingston. If a psychic sideshow or act would come through town, that would be either for instance, I don't think the Fox sisters ever came to Kingston, but he certainly saw them. He would sort of do an analysis and write them up for the local paper and people who were interested. The Bang sisters and the Campbell brothers, they were precipitated painters, and my great-grandfather saw them in person and would write about their activities. In the 1930s, he was walking down the street in Kingston, and a man walked up to him and he said, Dr. Aykroyd, I believe I have a gift. And his name was Walter Ashurst, and he was a locomotive mechanic. And he said, I think I have a gift for mediumship. So he became basically the Aykroyd family medium from the 30s right until the late 40s when he moved to Los Angeles, and the seances in the old farmhouse stopped. But my dad's book, History of Ghosts, on Rodale Press, outlined some of the great events that happened in the farmhouse there, where during the seances on a Sunday, the big black cars would roll up and the matrons would come all in black and with their husbands or partners. And my great-grandfather would in effect be the MC for these spiritualist seances. Walter Ashurst would change form, would change voice, at one time he crumpled himself into a kind of a strange little ball and knelt on the back of the chair, and he was talking about nuclear physics. And sort of after the seance, everybody was trying to put it together who this might be, and come to find out later that Steinmetz, the great physicist, he had scoliosis, and he used to work by kneeling on the back of a chair. That's exactly what Walter Ashurst did in that session. So he was a very simple man. He smoked, he got paid in turret cigarettes. That's how they paid him for each seance. And there were many things that he could have not have known that came out in these wonderful channeling sessions. So the family's always been interested in it, and the writings of Cayce were around. Of course, I've read the Jess Stearns biography, and am fascinated by Cayce and the fact that really your guest talked about remote viewing. He was the first remote viewer really of any note and credibility. And now that remote work is still going on at the Monroe Institute. You can go down there and train. The American military, although they're not talking about it, they're using it actively. And Edgar Cayce was probably the proponent of remote viewing in a practical way that assisted people materially and substantially. That's what's so beautiful about it, is that there were material and substantial advantages from his intervention in people's lives and his readings.
So, I mean, you would acknowledge then, of course, he was a pioneer, the gold standard of sorts. If that is the case, especially now we're living in an age, your television program and 6 others on the History Channel testify to this, why do you think, and a lot of people have this question, not just me in this audience, why do you think there's never been a 4 or 5 or 6 part series on a major network or a biopic on this man?
I think it's coming. Right now there's a lot of focus, especially on my show with on the paranormal, the supernatural. We do an episode about his Edgar Cayce's healing powers, and I have the body. that beautiful phrase that he used to say, "I have the body." And the fact that he was sleeping was wonderful. I love sleep, and I dream very lucidly. And just to think that from Cayce's dreams came all again this beautiful material, substantial help to people. I think it's only a matter of time before there'll be a focus. Now, John Cusack, the terrific young actor, writer, producer, he wrote a Cayce movie, which I saw the script of, and I was supposed to play a skeptical doctor in it at some point, but I don't think he ever got the financing together. But it was a very, very good depiction of Cayce, very human and very warm, and Cusack would have played young Cayce in it. I don't know what happened with that script, but somebody should pick it up. Now with streaming services, all kinds of people are making feature films that don't have to just go into a theater and play for 4 weeks. They can play forever now. There's so much content out there, so many more content producers and buyers that I think it's time for an Edgar Cayce feature. I've spoken to my producers about doing a whole unbelievable special on him. We did one episode about his healing powers, but I'd like to focus on maybe doing a 3 or 4 part story about his, predictions of natural events, of history, of earthquakes. One of my favorite stories, of course, is the dream he had. He's in Paris and he's having lunch with the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. And the tab comes out and it's $13.75. And he says, "I can't pay this." In the dream, "I can't pay this." And this is at a time when he was having trouble putting his mortgage forward. He bought the house, but he didn't have the mortgage. And he knew it would come. And Jesus appeared to him and said, "Don't worry, it's going to all be taken care of." And then a check arrived, I think on the Monday that the mortgage was due, for $1,375. $13.75 in the dream, $13.75 in the check. Now, talk about a confluence of spectacular lucid dreaming, premonitive dreaming, the hookup of the two numbers, and then you throw in the Christ there. It's a fascinating story, and wonderful, and all about the magic and coincidence of life and the afterlife and the invisible world that we can partake in, but can't see.
And I know the Tommy House story is the one you're going to first cover on the Unbelievable. And of course, for those of you in the Cayce universe, this was Edgar's nephew. He was, I think, 6 months old. He was convulsing. He's ready. He's going to go. His father, of course, is a doctor. And Edgar is called on a dark night on a train. You can feel the mud on his boots, the rain on his hat. He gets out, and he's supposed to give a reading for this young kid, and he does, and he prescribes belladonna, which is a deadly nightshade. And of course, one doctor gets up and leave, another doctor says, "You can't do this," and the mother says, Carrie House says, "You've got to do this." And of course, the child ends up living. So Dan, that's the story you're going to be covering the first time out for The Unbelievable, but you say that there may be some other stories behind that.
Well, I've proposed to our producers that we do a whole hour of Unbelievable on Edgar Cayce, that we focus on so many of other of his predictions and his cures and his remedies and just the man himself, how simple and beautiful he was, and surprising little quirky things such as he felt that Coca-Cola syrup and water could be a remedy for kidney disorders, not the carbonated beverage, but you mix the water and the syrup and you drink that. Also, he smoked cigarettes and he thought, hey, 5 or 6 smokes a day, not too bad. And alcohol in moderation was not a bad thing for him. So just the simplicity and the humanness of the guy, a possessor of these amazing gifts. Here he is, not a Superman, certainly a man with superpowers in a way, but a man and a human all the way. And that kind of vulnerability, we would like to depict. Who was the man? Where does this gift come from? What's the source of the information? And indeed, do you have to be a Christian to accept it? Can you not believe, strictly in Christ? For instance, can people of other faiths accept the work of Edgar Cayce? This is something we would like to explore.
Well, Dan, thank you so very much for joining us. I hope we'll get you again right before that program airs on the Unbelievable. Dan Aykroyd, everybody. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Just a quick story. The synchronicities that are abounding now are kind of neat. So we had heard that the Tommy House story was going to be covered on this television program. And Valerie and I had dinner with some of the producers at the History Channel, said, please get me Dan Aykroyd's information. I really want to speak with him. I want to bring him in here. I'd really like to bring him to Virginia. At least let's get him on Zoom. Tried. One producer tried, nothing happens. Okay. We did a private conference for some well-known people here about 6 weeks ago. John was involved with it as well. And this author brings an entourage of 5 other people. And one of the people is Donna Dixon Aykroyd. So, here's intention, right? This is our intention. You move your feet, you do the things you're supposed to do. You have a firm belief that things can come. This is things showing up. This is resonance causation. People call it law of attraction, what have you. But being able to see this story on this network is going to be fascinating. And I had heard, and Dan has kind of confirmed it, they want to do more Cayce stories, and I know that delights all of us. So thank you for being here.